I'm as big a Jon Jones fan as anybody, and I've always defended he's not afraid of Tom. He's willing to fight anybody. It's hard to not fall into that narrative here, though. You know, like, to me, like, fighting in the White House, like, that doesn't do it. But maybe I'm a different person. You know, maybe everybody looks at it different. For me, like, if you tell me they're going to have a fight at the White House, like, cool, all right. Like, it'd be cool to do it. If not, whatever. Like, a fight's a fight.
I do believe that I'm the best heavyweight in the world. It doesn't mean I can stop and celebrate what I've done. I've got a lot of work to do. I want to be as active as possible moving forward as well. So I'm not just working for the next fight, I'm working for the next 5 fights. And I have been doing that the last year.
Tom Aspinall's rise to the top of the UFC heavyweight division was nothing short of incredible. He wasn't just good, he was dominant, fast, and totally earned it. But even with all his victories, there was something missing. And Tom felt it too. After knocking out the fearsome Sergey Pavlovich to win the interim title and later defending it against Curtis Blades, Tom looked like the real deal, like the true champ. But there was one name that kept hanging over him: Jon Jones. Tom never pretended it wasn't there. In his own honest words, he said, "I would have rather taken it from Jon Jones, the undisputed champion." And when the UFC finally stripped Jones of the title and crowned Aspinall the official champ, there were no loud celebrations, no screaming, no chest pounding, just a quiet statement. He said it felt more like a relief than a triumph. There was no big crowning moment, no head-to-head with the man who held the throne, no signature win over the legend. The belt was just given to him. And even Tom knew deep down, it didn't feel right.
And say, no, you're not going to take this. And do you know what Jon Jones did? You have it. I don't want to fight. You can have it. This is unbelievable. The greatest of all time. What a load of shit. I'm sorry. Never going to call that him the GOAT. Ever again. Because being the greatest of all time is not just about winning. And that's what Jon Jones doesn't understand. It's about how you conduct yourself throughout the whole of your career. Are you willing to fight the biggest challenges, the biggest tests? Go in there and test.
And now, Jon Jones is back. After staying silent for a while and even announcing his retirement in June, the former champ made a big move. He quietly re-entered the USADA testing pool. That's the signal. He's planning a comeback in 2026, but not just any return. Word is, Jones is being lined up for a fight like no other inside the White House. Yes, you heard that right, a UFC fight card being put together for July 4th at the White House with the backing of Donald Trump and Dana White. It sounds crazy, surreal even, but the idea is serious. Michael Bisping openly suggested Jones Spurs title for Warfarer Aspinall as the main event, and Jones, he saw it and replied with just 3 words: I like it.
UFC White House is crazy, dude. How's that even a thing? Is that allowed? Like, how is Donald even allowed to do that? Be kind of gangster though. Chandler versus McGregor. Be kind of gangster. Aspinall. Jon Jones wants to fight on it. Classic. Back in the testing pool after 2 weeks. Bro is a troll and a half. He's not having his title back. That just can't be happening. All the ground trip.
That short reply was already enough to stir things up. But Jones didn't stop there. He went one step further. He aimed a chilling message directly at Aspinall. I'll make you beg inside the octagon. That wasn't trash talk. It was a threat. Cold. Calculated. It was the first time in months that Jon had shown any public interest in Tom, and it happened just after Tom seemed ready to move on. In an interview with Adam Catterall, Aspinall admitted that becoming the undisputed champ wasn't the fairy tale ending he once dreamed of. I thought I was a champion anyway, he said. Being called undisputed is nice, but I would have rather taken it from George.
He's like the longest running heavyweight champion in the history of the UFC, isn't he? But he's only like, he hasn't fought anyone. I don't think it's going to happen, you know. I think Jon gets a lot of money for being champion. I think the sponsors and that are paying him a fortune, and I think he's just dragging along, keeping the belt as long as possible, because it's worth that much money to him. I mean, Jon's often struggled with tall people who are good boxers. I imagine he probably, if he did fight him, he would...
And this wasn't new. Tom had been chasing that fight for a long time. When Jones got injured and pulled out of his fight with Miocic in late 2023, Aspinall stepped in on short notice to face the dangerous Pavlovich and wiped him out. Then he defended his interim title like a true warrior. Every step he took, every fight he accepted was about one thing: ununifying the titles, fighting Jones. But Jon didn't step up. Even after he came back and beat Stipe Miocic, Jones didn't look interested in facing Aspinall. Negotiations dragged. Dana White kept hinting, oh, the fight never happened.
If you're a sprinter and you take PEDs, you become faster than people who are not taking PEDs and you win a race. That's okay. You're a cheat, you've won, they'll take your title off you or whatever, that's fine. If your job is to hurt another person, physically hurt another person, which could potentially redirect the rest of their life post-fighting, you're an absolute piece of shit and you should never be able to fight again if you have any PEDs.
And then, just like that, Jon Jones retired. No big announcement, no farewell fight, just a quiet goodbye. He handed over the title to Tom at a press conference in Baku. For the fans, it was disappointing. For Aspinall, it was a letdown. And for Jones, it looked like the end, or so we thought. But then Jones popped back up, and it didn't sit well with a lot of people. Veteran UFC fighter Matt Brown didn't hold back. He called Jones' return suspicious, said it looked like ducking, that Jones waited until Aspinall signed for another fight before deciding to get back in the game. And honestly, a lot of fans agree.
Jon Jones. I'll be honest, Tom's a friend. I love Tom. He's one of the coolest dudes in the whole of MMA. Even though Jones is getting old, I just can't pick against Jon Jones. I've been watching Jon Jones, as I say, since...
People are questioning what Jones really wants. If he wanted the Aspinall fight, he had the chance. The UFC was on board, Tom was ready and waiting, but now that Aspinall has moved on, maybe to names like Cyril Gane or Alexander Volkov or even Derek Lewis, suddenly Jones is back, talking about the White House, throwing out threats.
The star Aspinall would have been if we just would have got that fight over with right away. Think of the star Ngannou still would have been for this company if you just would have had that fight and moved it on. And then you have an epic rivalry between those two, Aspinall and Ngannou. Like, the years and years of amazing heavyweight fights could have been happening if Jon Jones just wasn't a petulant child, and if the UFC wasn't just the, oh no, it's fine, he's just finding himself, like, just so annoying. But
the situation has changed. Aspinall is no longer the guy chasing the title. He's the champion now, and for the first time in more than 10 years, it's Jon Jones who's on the outside looking in. He has to pass drug tests, get cleared, and convince the UFC to let him back in. The roles are reversed. Tom doesn't need Jones to prove he's a champion anymore, at least not officially, but deep inside, both of them know this story isn't finished.
Is there a fighter in MMA or the UFC that you just find absolutely insufferable? Because for me, it's Jon Jones, and there is no close second. Jon Jones defended his heavyweight title against a retired 42-year-old Stipe Miocic back in November. Ever since then, Jon has been saying, what has Tom Aspinall done to deserve to fight me? You know, besides Tom being the interim champ and having a defense with that belt, Jon has just found every possible way to not fight Tom, even retire.
Jon Jones is still, without a doubt, one of the most legendary fighters in MMA history, but even legends can leave unfinished business. By retiring before facing Aspinall, he left a lot of questions behind. People wonder if he ever really wanted that fight. Did he dodge the final test of his heavyweight career? Was he afraid of facing someone younger, stronger, faster? Some blame timing, injuries, business deals. But the truth remains, Jones avoided the one man many believed could beat him.
Is there a fighter in MMA or the UFC that you just find absolutely insufferable? Because for me, it's Jon Jones, and there is no close second. Jon Jones defended his heavyweight title against a retired 42-year-old Stipe Miocic back in November. Ever since then, Jon has been saying, what has Tom Aspinall done to deserve to fight me? You know, besides Tom being the interim champ and having a defense with that belt, Jon has just found every possible way to not fight Tom, even retire.
Now, with this possible White House event taking shape, the buzz is back. Dana White and Donald Trump are reportedly working on a massive card. And guess who's near the top of that wish list? Jones versus Aspinall. No contracts yet, no dates, but the whispers are getting louder. Jones responded again to a fan poster teasing the matchup. Just 3 words again. I like it. Then the message that really hit hard, I'll make you beg inside the octagon.
I'll just come out and ask you, do you think he's ducking Tom Aspinall?
No. Jon Jones, I said it a million times, I'll say it again, he's never ducked anybody other than that one goofy time with the Chael Sonnen thing. He's never ducked anybody, and you know, I think the reality is whatever changed his mind with this fight, I don't know, you'd have to ask him that, but you know, he's 38 years old, and I don't know.
Do you think if it was someone like Alex Pereira, he would fight them? And it's maybe Tom that he specifically doesn't fancy the matchup, doesn't fancy the age difference?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to these questions. Only he does. You know, we had the fight done. Listen, our job is to make the biggest fights we can make and the fights that the fans want to see, and that's what we try to do. But the minute somebody starts talking about retirement, you know my philosophy on that, you should do it.
Maybe it was trash talk, maybe it was bait, but it worked. Aspinall hasn't responded directly, but he's said plenty in the past. Beating Jones isn't about glory for him, it's personal. It's about finishing a story. Being undisputed without beating the man who had the belt, it just doesn't feel right. Tom said it himself. What I wanted was a real ending, a real fight, a passing of the torch. And now, that door might be open again.
Think of the star Aspinall would have been if we just would have got that fight over with right away. Think of the star Ngannou still would have been for this company if you just would have had that fight and moved it on. And then you have an epic rivalry between those two, Aspinall and Ngannou. Like the years and years of amazing heavyweight fights could have been happening if Jon Jones just wasn't a petulant child, and if the UFC wasn't just the, oh no, it's fine, he's just finding himself. Like, just so annoying. And so
Tom will likely defend his belt against someone else first. Cyril Gane seems the most likely opponent. But that White House card? That could be Jon's stage for a comeback. With Trump involved, the media circus will be huge. Dana White will want a blockbuster main event. And nothing makes more sense than Jones versus Aspinall, a fight fans have been craving.
Since the fight will never happen, gun to my head, I would have said Jon Jones will beat him right now. Tom has never been pushed into those championship rounds. That first time you feel that, I gotta get up off that stool after the third round. You needed to fight Tom now when he doesn't have that experience, especially as Jon Jones.
It's all speculation right now, but the timing, the testing, and the threats all point in one direction. Jones walked away once, left Tom without the crowning moment he deserved. But now Jones is the one asking for attention, with artwork, with cold quotes, with warnings. And Tom's already the champ now.
Why is that fight not happening? Well, it could be for two reasons. It's either that Jon Jones is using a strategy to have more money. You could say it, JSP. Go for it. Come on, say what you want to say. But I think that's why he's doing it. You know, if he's doing it just to hold the title, to serve the wave, this is not. And if he has no intention of coming back, that's not right, you know. But if he does it for as a strategy to have more money, I can understand why. But I think that the UFC needs to do something to get.
Meanwhile, welterweight champ Leon Edwards stirred the pot. He was asked who would win in a prime PW Prime match between Jones and Aspinall. His answer was quick. Prime? Jon Jones, 100%. He's the best to ever do it.
But what did you make of it when you heard Jon calling out Alex of all people?
You know, I think he does do this because, you know, Alex Perez now he's like big star in the UFC, you know, everybody loves him, so he knows what he's doing, you know, but I believe he should to fight against Aspinall, but I think he a little bit afraid of him, you know, because Aspinall is someone who can really stop him and beat him.
Yeah,
I mean, he believe, but that's what I think that he believes if he can, you know.
But Leon also gave Tom his due. He said that in today's world, where Tom is in peak form, he might give Jones real trouble. With that speed, that power, and the way Tom moves, he could be a nightmare for Jon. Still, what really upset fans was what Leon said next, that Jones didn't duck the fight.
But it's the legacy. To be able to go to the heavyweight division, take out everyone, and then take out the Jon Jones legend, you know, and then go back to even beating a few of these new school guys, will literally put Tom Aspinall as the GOAT of the heavyweight division.
That sparked fury. Fans flooded social media. Leon, you little traitor, one said. Others called him a bum, a sellout. We don't claim him anymore. One wrote, people felt betrayed. A fellow Brit backing the American legend over their homegrown hero.
Not wanting to fight, you think, or do you think it's a combination?
Well, I can tell you some stuff about the money situation, but I'm not sure I can say it on camera, so I will tell you that after. I think I'm a bad matchup for him, to be honest. And I think he knows it.
My opinion, I think it's a huge risk.
Yeah.
It's a huge risk. You're younger, you're athletic, you hit hard, you pose problems. We don't have much data on you.
That's because Aspinall means something to UK fans. He's not just a champ, he's their champ. A symbol of everything British MMA stands for now. When Jon stepped away in June, the UFC handed the belt to Tom. But it felt hollow without the fight.
I would even say this, and I don't know if this is controversial or not, but I would say that Jon Jones ducked Tom Aspinall so hard that he went through self-destructive measures just to avoid a fight with this man. That's how good Tom Aspinall is. And everyone you're going to list off is going to get beat.
Well, we'll see.
Tom knew it too. I would have rather taken it from Jon Jones. He stepped in when Jones pulled out, knocked out Pavlovich, beat Blades, and waited. The unification fight never happened. Then came the anticlimactic retirement from Jones, and now, like magic, he's back in the testing pool, just in time for that rumored July 4th White House event. And what does Jon say? I like it. I'll make you beg.
Donald Trump just said that he wants to hold a UFC event at the White House next year for America's 250th birthday. And not just any UFC event, he wants to hold a championship UFC event at the White House next year. And this got me thinking, what a perfect time for Jon Jones to come out of retirement and fight Tom Aspinall at the White House next year for America's 250th birthday. What is more patriotic, what is more American than the best?
Even Michael Bisping is confused. Is Jones serious? Is he messing around? Or is he really planning the comeback of all comebacks? A White House fight is tempting. Everyone would want in.
What do you make of Tom Aspinall and all the things that he's been saying about you?
I think he should go on and have a wonderful career.
Do you think that he needs you?
No, I think he needs me. When you want something bad enough, and if you get it, it could be the worst thing that could ever happen to you. I love being the ultimate troll. He's just not. He's not in a position to like excite me. Because if I whoop his ass, it's going to be the next guy. There's going to be a whole new fan base of somebody who everybody believes in.
Bisping nailed it. Jones versus Aspinall is England versus USA 1776 all over again, but in a cage. It would be epic. A headline act that could shake the world. But is Jon really back? Or is he just making noise? Only time will tell.